Today we are going to be planting up a brand new garden bed. This bed is 150 foot long and it is going to be packed full of new proven winter perennials for 2025. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and we have the unique opportunity to get some of these perennials ahead of time to be able to trial and sample them, not only to find out how they grow in the greenhouse setting, but also how they grow out in the landscapes. These varieties will be available on our website, gardencrossings.com, later on in the fall of 2024 or in the beginning of 2025. So a lot of different things here. Rod and Ben spent some time this morning and kind of got them all laid out. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what some of the different varieties are, tell you the little bit of information I may know this far on those varieties, and just, see what we've got going. So we are a Zone 6A garden here in West Michigan, and the perennials that are all planted in this area are perennials for full sun to part shade locations. We do like our annual color as well, so before they laid all these perennials out, we made sure to create kind of a nice border here with the Supertunias. The white you're seeing is Supertunia Mini Vista White, and the dark purple you're seeing is the Supertunia Mini Vista Midnight. So that is what is lining this garden bed. But let's go ahead and take a closer look here at the perennials that are going to be new in 2025. We're going to be talking about 20 to 25 new plants here, so make sure to get out your notepad and or hit pause on the video to take a screenshot. We'll try to show you the tag as best we can, and in most of the situations, if we have a tag available. That way you'll know exactly what the plants are that we're talking about today. We also do have a few new shrubs for 2025 that we are introducing in this bed as well. I think there's only one or two, but we'll start off with at least one of them, and that's something we're excited to try as well, just to see, again, what do these new shrubs do, not only in growing in the greenhouses, but also in actual real landscape situations. So the first plant we're going to start off with today is a new shrub for 2025. This here is the glow stick Japanese holly. Now, we actually do have these available because of the partnership we have with Proven Winners. Some of the 2025 shrubs we do have available now on our website, gardencrossings.com. So what does it say about this glow stick holly? Check out the tag information to tell you. I'm not going to be able to tell you zone information on all the plants we're planting today because there's just so much. So that's why I'm hoping to just show you the name of the plant. That way you can go to our website and get all the information. But glow stick holly is hardy in zones 5B. So we're kind of on that borderline, being that 6A to the hardiness. And this is only going to get about 4 to 6 foot tall and 1 foot wide. So just a very nice columnar shrub to tuck into small spaces to give you the height, but not necessarily a lot of width. So that we're just going to have kind of fill in this corner bit of the bed. The next we have is the Heliopsis, and this is called Touch of Blush. Beautiful variegated foliage, gets a little hint of blush pink on the edges of the leaves, and then in the summer you get these beautiful yellow flowers. So we love Heliopsis here in the garden. We're going to be placing 2 of them in this space. Next we have an Achillea. This is Firefly Red Pop. Firefly is a new series of Achillea. Beautiful red flowers. And Red Pop, I believe it's going to be a little bit bigger than the others. It is 24 to 28 inches tall. So the Firefly series is a little bit shorter than this. So we're excited to see how this does. And this is also a great reblooming plant. If it flowers, you give it a light trim, a lot of times you'll be able to get a secondary bloom out of the yarrow or Achillea. This is pretty exciting. This is a salvia. It's called Salvia Big Sky. When I first saw this perennial out in the trial gardens last year, the flowers were so impressive. Now, huge flowers, very tall flower spikes. This plant gets 32 inches tall, so it's got quite a presence in the landscape. So this is going to be a fun one to watch here in our trial gardens to see how it does. But when I was seeing it last year at Walter's Trial Gardens, it was really quite a unique looking perennial. Penstemon. There's been a lot of new Penstemon this year, not only in the Proven Winners collection, but also in our Bloomables collection. This is part of the Bejeweled series, and this one here is called Penstemon Pink Pearls. So this one has kind of finished flowering. We're seeing like the spent bloom stalks. So we're going to go ahead and get these trimmed off, and then hopefully we'll see if we can get it to rebloom. Typically Penstemon is a very long bloomer in the garden, so I think by getting rid of all these spent blooms, we'll be able to show you updates of it throughout the summer when it's in full color, and you'll be able to get a better idea of the color of the plant when it's in bloom. We're doing a grouping of 3 of them here in this garden space. Next, we have this beautiful new iris, which is huge. Now, this is not part of the Proven Winner series. I know it's in a Proven Winner pot. We just do this when we're growing them in the greenhouse for our landscape. But this is called Eyeliner. And the flowers, I've been watching this plant as it's been flowering in the greenhouse, and they're so pretty. Now, this one here, the flowers are all spent, so we'll trim these off. But this is an iris that we're going to do a secondary planting in this bed. So down the ways a bit, there's a few more that we'll be able to show you the flowers on. But this is going to be great early spring color. So in planting this bed, we really have been trying to stage things so that there's always something in color to keep, obviously the annuals will always be in color, but perennials always in color to keep this bed always looking very interesting. This is super exciting. You know how often I talk about alstroemerias, and I love my alstroemerias. Well, Proven Winners has introduced a few new alstroemerias for the 2025 season. So we're bringing them back. Inca Ice has been a favorite for years, and we just have not been able to get it anywhere. So we're excited to be able to bring you some taller alstroemerias again in 2025. This one is called Summer Heat, and 36 to 42 inches tall, so it's going to have a nice height to it with these beautiful dark kind of orangish red blooms. Alstroemeria is one of the longest blooming perennials in the garden, so it makes a great cut flower, and it's just, we're going to always have color from the alstroemeria once it starts blooming until we get a frost here in Michigan. Next is a grouping of 3, and this is a phlox. This is part of the Luminary series. It's called Pink Lightning. Beautiful light pink color. Now this one I have not seen bloom yet, so this will be one to watch as summer rolls around and it starts to flower up. 30 to 36 inches, so you can see we're trying to put some of the taller things here along the back, and also where the wall is a little higher, we're putting the taller things, because as we make our way down the bed a little bit, the wall is going to get shorter and shorter. And our goal with this garden is the plants that we're planting to kind of hide this wall. Originally we were thinking of maybe putting like some bricks or some type of a decorative retaining wall to cover this up, but it's like that's really quite silly. Let's let the plants be the cover, because this doesn't look bad, and why put money into all that rock or stacking stone to cover something that's good and plants can do the covering. Now this is a flowerful little guy here, and maybe not even so little. This is a Coreopsis, part of the Designer Threads series. This is Designer Threads Golden Needles. Coreopsis is a great deer-proof perennial, mass of flowers. The thing I'm noticing here with the Designer Threads series is the flowers on this plant. They just seem a little extra large, very big golden yellow blooms with a beautiful burgundy eye. So that is going to really be a bright splash of color. I love yellow in the garden because I think it just really pops. If it's with the foliage or with the flowers, yellow is a staple, in my opinion, for the gardens, just to have those constant pops of color. This is a fun new Stokesia, or Stokes Aster. This is called Totally Stoked Riptide. Now I've been watching this one out in the trial gardens for the past 2 or 3 years, just waiting for it to be introduced. This is another long blooming perennial. Stokes Aster, you can see the kind of periwinkle purple bloom there, and you can see this plant is just loaded with buds, just waiting to burst forth with color. Another fairly long blooming perennial in the garden, and I love the habit, and I just love the look of them in the garden. So we've got 3 of those plantings going to happen there. Now, hibiscus or rose mallow. These are the plants everybody is talking about. There are 2 new varieties, there's actually more, but there's a couple new varieties that have really been getting a lot of buzz. This being one of them. Now, this is not part of the Proven Winner series, but this one here is called Marshmallow Moon. So this is a green leafed hibiscus with pure white flowers. This one is compact. Let's see, what does it say? I think it's a 36 incher. Yeah, about 36 inches tall and 36 inches wide. So when this starts blooming with those beautiful white blooms in August, it's definitely going to be a talking point for the videos. Campanula, also known as clips. This here is part of the Mini Marvels series, Mini Marvels Midnight. This one is only going to get 6 to 8 inches tall. So we'll have to see where we have it placed here. I think there's enough space that we'll be able to look over the petunias and see these little guys. This is another plant I've been watching in the trial gardens for the last 2 or 3 years, just waiting for it to get introduced. Cute little miniature bell flowers. Nice habit on the plant. They're just very low growing, compact mounds. They don't really spread, or some campanula kind of can spread a little bit. But these, they just really stay pretty nice and tidy in the garden. So that's going to be a very nice, low growing, mounding habit. Let's see, another yarrow or achillea. And this one is called Firefly Fuchsia. So there was a pink in the Firefly series a few years back, and it didn't perform up to the expectations of a Proven Winners plant. So we're glad that they finally have reintroduced a new pink in the Firefly series. So we'll show you this as it starts blooming this summer. There's already some buds starting. Yarrow are a great drought tolerant plant. They work well in rock gardens. This space here is on a drip irrigation, but we were just noticing as we were walking through the gardens today that we need to dial it back, because this does tend to be more of a kind of a water holding area. And I don't know if it's because there's clay in the soil or what, but we are going to dial the water back to accommodate some of these plants that just don't need a lot of water. Here's another campanula, and this one is called Mini Marvels Twilight. A little bit lighter purple with kind of a white halo on it. Again, very compact in size, great for borders, front of the garden, and that's going to be pretty when that starts blooming. And that's going to look really nice with those white petunias. Here's a new goat's beard for 2025. This is not part of the Proven Winner series, but this one is called Goatee, goat's beard, an aruncus. So this one has already flowered, and so what we're seeing here are the spent blooms. So when it was flowering, it was beautiful white flowers, but I think even that the flowers, that they're done blooming now, it still gives a lot of interest and texture, although I'm sure we're going to come through and trim them off just to keep the plant kind of tidy looking. More campanula, part of the Mini Twilight series. Part of the Mini Marvel series is Starbright. We've got pink, we've got a light purple, and of course you need to have a white to round out the series. So compact, mounding habit, great for front of the borders. This is a nice introduction. So it's a new plant variety in the Proven Winners series, and this one is Thalictrum called Cotton Candy. So this has got beautiful, light, soft, airy pink blooms that just kind of dance in the breeze. This plant is for full sun to part sun locations, and it'll get about 36, I think, inches tall. From what I remember in the trial garden seeing, 38 to 42 inches tall, and it's just going to have kind of nice, airy flowers that kind of dance in the breeze. Agastache or hyssop. A lot of new introductions coming in the Agastache or hyssop family. This one here is not part of the Proven Winner series, but this one is called Guava Lava. Kind of a fun name. Very fragrant. Also very long blooming. This particular one, as far as its height, 20 to 22 inches, so fairly compact. Agastache is also another long blooming perennial. Smells so wonderful, and the hummingbirds love it. Getting some unique vertical interest into the garden is Liatris, and this is a big one. This is not part of the Proven Winner series. It's called Lavender Glow Sticks. So we really don't have any Liatris in the garden because Proven Winners doesn't have Liatris in their collection, and there's, you know, old-fashioned Liatris. But with this new introduction from Walter's Garden, this will be kind of fun to just see these tall purple flower spikes. Now these are, I think they've already bloomed. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, these have already bloomed, so I don't think we're going to actually get to see flowers this year on this plant, but it'll be something exciting to watch for next year. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we do all these trials in the greenhouse as well as out in the landscape. Even though it's the beginning of June, a lot of these plants are off their normal schedule. So things that maybe wouldn't have bloomed outside in nature yet are blooming now or have bloomed because being in the greenhouse are about anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 weeks ahead of their natural bloom cycle. So right now, because we're planting these, don't take the fact that they're blooming now to, you know, in accordance with, oh, that's going to bloom in my garden in the beginning of June, because these plants are ahead of their schedule. Coreopsis, this is part of the Designer Threads series, Scarlet Ribbon. These plants are now available. We just released them this week. So if you're loving these Coreopsis, you can go to the website and place an order and we'll ship them to your door. Or you can stop into our garden center here in Zeeland, Michigan. Very rich, deep red flowers. Again, remember the Coreopsis are typically a deer-resistant variety. It's just a mound of color when this is in full bloom. And we're doing a grouping here of 3 of them, so that will look really nice. I believe this is another summer heat Alstroemeria or Peruvian lily. So we talked about this one earlier, but this is going to look nice in this space. Oh, phlox, beautiful phlox. Part of the Garden Girls series, not a Proven Winner phlox. This one here is called Material Girl. Beautiful pinkish purple blooms. The nice thing with the garden, I'm trying to get the tag back in here. The nice thing with the Garden Girl series is that they've been bred for excellent powdery mildew resistance. Look at those beautiful flowers. The thing I like too about the Garden Girl series is typically we'll get 2 blooms out of them. So they'll do their first cycle of flowers, they'll send up another flush, bury the dead basically, and be flowering for a second round in the garden during the summer. Sedum, which is a nice drought tolerant plant. This is Sedum Rock and Grow Midnight Velvet, part of the Proven Winners collection. So these will be blooming mid to late summer, but until they start blooming, we'll get to enjoy the deep dark foliage. One thing you'll notice on the tag, the foliage look near black. As I'm showing you in the pot right now, you're seeing more of an olive green color. This is a good time to point out when plants are grown in the greenhouse, we have plastic over the top, and that plastic has a UV protectant in it, and so therefore it blocks some of the sun's UV rays. And that also blocks some of these dark leaf plants from taking on that dark foliage in the greenhouse. Once they get out into the sunshine and have all of the natural things that nature gives them, that's when they start to take on their darker foliage color. If this was planted in more of a shadier spot, which it shouldn't because sedum are a full sun plant, but you would also notice that you're not going to get that dark foliage color if there's more of a shady situation. So full sun, you're going to get your deepest, darkest, most vibrant black looking foliage on any perennial or shrub that has that dark foliage going on. Another iris, and I told you this is I think it's eyeliner is what we said it was called. Yes, eyeliner. But here's one that's flowering, so you can get a better idea of just the color of this flower. I love the white petals with that little eyeliner effect of purple with a beautiful yellow center. We don't have a lot of this type of iris in our garden, so this will be really fun to watch and enjoy you know, next season as it comes out and blooms naturally. All right, more phlox. You can never have too many phlox, right? Ooh, another one, part of the Garden Girl series. This one is called Dream Girl. So Dream Girl, we'll have to watch to see what the flower color actually is, but it looks like it's going to be kind of a bubblegum pink color. So we'll see what the blooms look like once it starts blooming this summer. Another Alstroemeria Summer Heat. We just kind of spattered those throughout because can't have too many. Another part of the Designer Thread series of Coreopsis. And whoa, we almost lost it. Well, this one is called Creamy Calico. So this one here has got the lighter pale yellow flowers with a deep burgundy eye. This is going to look really cool though, I think, with all of these various, I think we've got 4 different Coreopsis that we'll be planting in this bed, and they're all kind of spaced out nicely. So when they all start to bloom, it's going to be really pretty just having these masses of color from the Coreopsis. Now next year will be even better because that's when everything's going to be, like I said, in its natural bloom state. Another Liatris there. This here I think is a repeat as well. I think this is that Guava Lava. Yeah, this is a repeat as well. As you know, we kind of like a little bit of symmetry in our gardens, and so we're kind of starting to repeat as we head down some of the plants we've already talked about, but not all of them, because there's a beautiful hibiscus coming up. And this, my friends, is called Summerific All Eyes on Me. This is part of the Proven Winter collection. Beautiful lighter pink with dark magenta. And this one gets pretty big, 42 inches tall. I love the hardy hibiscus in the garden because in July, August, when those huge dinner plate blooms start to open up and show color, it's definitely something that people talk about. If you don't have any hardy hibiscus in your garden and you have a full sun location, I encourage you to give one a try because how can you not comment on a bloom that's this big and just covers the plants? It'll have your neighbors talking, and they'll be talking about all the right things. Here's another Stokesia. So we have this one paired. We have the Riptide on the back end, and this one is again part of the Totally Stokes series. And this one is called Whitecap. As the name implies, it's a white flowering Stokesia. One thing I did notice with this particular one is it does take on a little bit of a blushy pink color, or even maybe a pale blushy purple sometimes during the summer. So I do want to say that, you know, if your flowers start to have just a little hue of pink or a little hue of purple, to not be surprised about that. Long blooming again, lasts, yeah, not just weeks in the garden, but months in the garden. More Coreopsis here. This one is part of the Designer Thread series called Heartstrings. Oh, what a pretty name. So Heartstrings features more of a palish colored flower that's got really heavy magenta bleeding on each of the petals. And maybe bleeding isn't the right word for it, but it's a good word, I guess. How it just kind of, the magenta bleeds into the white there. Really pretty. Mass planting of 3. It's going to be a big pop of color. So here we have the Luminary Prismatic Pink. I'm just loving how there's a couple different options of these phlox that we can pair together. Although they're a little bit different color, we'll be able to keep consistency of blooms in the garden. There's the flower just starting. Another iris. Oh, penstemon. Let's grab the one that's flowering. This is the penstemon Rose Rhinestones. Beautiful rose color blooms. Penstemon are a great plant for the hummingbirds. So if you're looking to attract hummingbirds into the garden, these beautiful tubular flowers definitely are a welcome sign and a welcome addition. The hummingbirds just love to go to them and sip the sweet nectar, and not fragrant, but definitely very pretty. And the last one, we did already talk about this, but we're rounding out this garden with the living large big star salvia again. So this is something you definitely are going to want to be on the lookout for and keeping your eyes on as we continue to do updates on this garden throughout the summer, because I can't wait to show you as it's coming out naturally, or once we cut all these flowers off and wait for a secondary flush of blooms, to just show you how beautiful this plant is in the garden. So this video was packed full of information. Lots of new varieties that we'll be watching throughout the summer, how they're doing. This video basically was just to get the names out there for you as something to keep an eye out for. So every month or so we'll be doing updates on this garden bed so that you can see the different changes it's making, the different flowers as they're blooming. And if you have any questions or comments on any of these new for 2025 perennials from Proven Winners, don't hesitate to leave a message below. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.